coming up on the Q30 Newscast. Get a sneak peek at the construction progress on the South Quad that's set to open in the fall of 2025.
Learn about how you can honor Hispanic Heritage Month this September and October, and see how the town of Hamden is handling issues that plagued the primary election in early August.
Also see a new project the game design and development program has been cooking up.
All that and more coming up on the Q30 Newscast.
Good evening and welcome to the Q30 Newscast. I'm Andrew Reynolds.
And I'm Eli Ehlers. We start tonight's show with updates from the South Quad construction.
The construction started in the spring of 2023 with the Grove becoming the first building completed from the project, which opened at the start of the school year.
Last Thursday, Q30 got exclusive access to the South Quad construction site and a tour of both the new school of business and the site. Julia Barcello has more.
The $293 million South Quad is nearing its completion. With 3 new buildings, the quad will be a place for student innovation, academics, and residential spaces. The new 3-story School of Business will include a small cafe, innovation hub, 11 new classrooms, a behavioral insights lab, a financial technology center, along with faculty offices and a women in business center. The Science, Innovation, Technology, and Exploration building, known as the site, includes 3 floors of 18 new labs, 6 new classrooms, and a greenhouse which environmental students can use for classes. The Student Government Association President J.P. DiDonato says SGA is helping voice students' opinions on the project.
So right now, there's a big issue regarding space on campus. There are a lot of student organizations that feel that they need more space, and we see that and we understand that, and we've been advocating for them to get that space.
Each building has been constructed to be LEED certified, including rain gardens, water runoff prevention measures, and lights that reduce light pollution, and a new water filtration system that will also ensure that any water leaving the area is clean. While students are excited to see the benefits of the building, they also hope to see more parking.
I am definitely hoping to see some more parking, especially on main campus, and so far the construction looks very pretty. I'm excited to see some nice buildings and less construction.
DiDonato says students likely won't see any additional parking.
This time, I don't believe that there will be an increase in parking. Right now, the focus that we've had has been on the structure in the buildings and what the spaces within those will look like. So parking hasn't been something that we've discussed or been updated on.
Although there won't be additional parking, there will be more green space, which many students are happy to see.
And then I want to see definitely some green areas like this. This is really nice to hang out with during the summer and stuff, so it'd be great to have some over there.
Nearing the end of its completion, just behind me, the South Quad will be open and functioning for students in fall of 2025. Reporting from the South Quad, I'm Julia Barcello, Q30 News.
On October 9th, SGA will be hosting a special election. The student government is looking to fill the open positions, including the athlete senator, veteran senator, and junior class senator. Students interested in the positions can contact SGA to learn more about the positions. All students are welcome to come to the election and ask questions, but only SGA will vote for the senators.
Quinnipiac University has launched a new experience portal to replace the old MyQ portal, which is expected to be taken down by January 1st, 2025. This centralized tool allows students to access everything MyQ offers and more through a single platform. Accessible via the Quinnipiac app, it offers convenience on-the-go safety reporting and customizable information cards. The portal aims to enhance the student experience by providing knowledge at your fingertips and keeping students informed with announcements and updates.
On Tuesday morning, students had the opportunity to attend the annual Major and Minor Fair in the Piazza. From 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., faculty from all 9 schools were stationed around the Piazza, introducing and answering questions related to majors and minors on campus. Students could learn about the different programs available, how to declare or change their majors, and receive guidance on career paths and academic planning.
And every year at Quinnipiac, they recognize Latinx and Hispanic Heritage Month. This annual month of honor, running from September 15th to October 15th, highlights the rich histories, cultures, and contributions of Americans with ancestry from over 20 Latin American countries, which includes Mexico, Central and South America, and the Caribbean. For more on what Quinnipiac is doing to celebrate, let's hear from Sydney Weimer. Sydney?
From September 15th until October 15th, the nation comes together to honor Hispanic heritage and influence within the United States. This 30-day period, also known as Hispanic Heritage Month, is a time to recognize everything from Hispanic achievements to culture and history.
Hispanic Heritage Month is very important because it embraces the culture within a bunch of Latin American countries, and a bunch of Latin American countries also have their independence from Spain, so they celebrate that during the month, which begins on September 15th and ends on October 15th.
On campus, students themselves find ways to be involved in celebrating during the time period.
So we start off the month always with an annual asada, which is essentially a big cookout that we have on the quad, and we have a bunch of games and food and just welcome in a bunch of new students and old students, returning students, to come celebrate with us. And then we actually have a different event every Thursday of the month until October 15th. So we have a dance class coming up this Thursday. Last week we had a movie night, and we have a bunch of events every week.
Not only should students be aware of the significance behind the month, but partaking within the continuous on-campus events is key to showing support. Professors themselves within the multicultural department at the university have even expressed how important it is to recognize Hispanic Heritage Month within the Quinnipiac community.
Really cannot emphasize enough the importance during your 4 years, or how many years you decide to stay here, how really wonderful it is to step outside, to get out there into another culture and to see the richness that there is. We're all human beings, but there are wonderful differences that are out there.
Needless to say, Hispanic Heritage Month is a time for all to come together to celebrate Hispanic achievements and impacts throughout history. Reporting from outside the College of Arts and Science for Q30 News, I'm Sydney Weimer.
This weekend, Quinnipiac University will host the first Colors of CT Festival. This is open to this public event is meant to celebrate inclusivity in the entrepreneurial space. Sponsored by the M&T Bank Centers for Women in Business and Innovation and Entrepreneurship, the festival features a sip and shop panel, discussions, live music, food trucks, and more. The event will be this Saturday in the Recreation and Wellness Center. Doors open for the festival at 2 o'clock and will go until 7 p.m. And speaking of food trucks, Eli, earlier today I tried to wait in line for the food truck, but it was way too long. But luckily, the weather was amazing.
Yeah, Andrew, I totally agree. The fall foliage is starting and the weather is getting cooler, but Samantha Shaw is here with a 3-day weather update.
Thanks, guys. I know how much we all love those food trucks, so let's take a look. Today we had a high of 69, a low of 52, a little bit chillier compared to the rest of the week, where we have the lower 70s at 72 and 73, which is pretty nice for the beginning of October. But after this upcoming break, we'll be looking at the 7-day forecast as well as the weather around Connecticut.
Where did the time go? I don't know how I got here.
You've done the hard part. You quit smoking. Now do the easy part and get scanned for lung cancer. If you smoked, you may still be at risk, but early detection could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
The Hamden Registrar of Voters is seeing some backlash following a mistake during the primary election on August 13th.
Evangeline Crossi is reporting from Hamden Town Hall with more on what went wrong.
It's been a little over a month since a misplaced envelope of ballots overturned the August 13th primary election for state representative in Hamden. But it turns out that misplaced ballots were not the only issue that plagued this election. The Democratic Registrar of Voters, LaShonda Howard, shared during a Democratic Town Committee meeting that while the office was filling out an order form for ballots, they filled out the wrong number for the Board of Education office, the polling place for Hamden's 5th district. So when voting day came, instead of receiving the 1,300 ballots the office was supposed to, they received 300. The polling location had to photocopy ballots, meaning some voters had to leave and come back later if they had the time. Howard added in the meeting that her office claims full responsibility for the issues this election, and to avoid this from happening during the November election, she's ordered 34,700 ballots, one for every registered voter in Hamden. Q30 reached out to both Howard and Sean Grace, the head of the Democratic Town Committee in Hamden, for comment, but neither responded. Reporting for Q30 News from Hamden Town Hall, I'm Evangeline Crossley.
On Tuesday, students were invited to watch the vice presidential debate in the Piazza. Organized by the Office of Community Engagement, the event provided a platform for students and faculty to watch the debate between vice presidential candidates Tim Walz and J.D. Vance. The watch party aimed to foster community involvement and political awareness among attendees. There was pizza and snacks for students to enjoy while they were watching the debate.
With 32 days until the election day, the presidential race is still too close to call. A recent Quinnipiac University poll shows former President Donald Trump at 48% among likely voters, just ahead of Vice President Kamala Harris at 47%. Green Party candidate Jill Stein and Libertarian candidate Chase Oliver each garner 1% support.
On Tuesday, a voter registration information table was held in Tater Hall. Students were able to ask questions they had on how to register and the process that comes with registering. There's still a ton of other news surrounding politics as the vice presidential debate was held just over 24 hours ago.
To summarize it all for us, Darren Exaharulius has more.
Thanks, guys. Last night was a big night for the election cycle, so let's jump right into it. Yesterday, the vice presidential debate was held and hosted by CBS. Topics including immigration, foreign policy, abortion, and the economy were the main attraction. Vance made statements about Kamala's administration and criticized their policies and records. More specifically, he criticized the administration's policies on immigration and abortion. Walz discussed Trump on his stance on abortion, while also bringing up the attack of the Capitol on January 6th. The most heated exchange occurred when Vance refused to answer the question, did Trump lose the election in 2020? Walz called out Vance by stating, quote, that's a damning non-answer, end quote. The debate ends with no clear winner, but to help the American people better understand where Trump and Kamala's policies stand. On September 30th, employees at the Department of Veterans Affairs looked into the medical records of both Vice President Vance and Walz without their permission. This breach of privacy was carried out by dozens of staff, reportedly because they were curious about the vice presidential candidates' backgrounds. VA Press Secretary Terrence Haynes wants people to know that they respect the privacy of all veterans, and any attempt to access veterans' medical records will not be tolerated. VA Secretary Dennis McDonald backs Haynes' statement by reminding employees that veterans' information should only be accessed when authorized. Failure to comply will result in disciplinary action or criminal prosecution. We are 5 weeks away from Election Day, so let's take a look at the polls. After Harris' debate with Trump, Harris increased her percentage from 2.5% to 3.3% in just a span of 1 week. National polls are important, but what matters most is the electoral votes. Trump and Kamala are still competing to win over those electoral votes in the 7 remaining swing states. Kamala seems to have the advantage over Trump in terms of electoral votes, but there is still plenty of time before the election. Remember, every vote counts. That's all for political news. Eli, Andrew, back to you.
Thanks, Darren. There is still more here on the Q30 Newscast.
When we return, Samantha Shaw will be back in the studio with a full 7-day forecast as well as a look around Connecticut. Stick with us.
Owen, when you came into my life, it was a whirlwind.
I just can't do it.
We didn't know what the future would hold, but we knew you would always be a part of it. Adopting you was the best decision in our life. And I am so proud to call you my son.
We are taught you don't talk about your problems with nobody because you could get in trouble. And I've been through a lot. Anxiety, depression, sexual assault. When I decided to get help, my life changed. And the mental health box, that was one of the big tools. Accepting help means that we're allowing somebody to bless our life. It's freeing. We got stronger together. Love your mind.
Welcome back to the Q30 Newscast. Eli, I think it's undeniable that, when the sleeping giant just changes colors with all the leaves, it is one of the most beautiful things about Quinnipiac's campus.
Andrew, I absolutely agree with you. But Samantha Shaw is back in studio with the full 7-day forecast. Samantha, what do you have for us?
Thanks, guys. The fall foliage is definitely my favorite part of this time of year, so let's keep taking a look. As I mentioned before, today had a high of 69, and we look towards the end of the week at a lower 70 range at 72 and 73, partly cloudy and then cloudy on Friday. And then as we go to Saturday, it's a high of 76, which is pretty nice for an October weekend. And we end off the week at a sunny 70. Then on Monday, it starts to rain again at 70 degrees. And on Tuesday, it's partly cloudy with 65 degrees. And then as we take a look at the state, we'll notice that in the east, we have the lower temperatures of 70 and 68, but warmer degrees on the west at 72 to 74 degrees. Again, pretty nice for October, and I'm hoping to see more of that, but that's all I have for this week on weather. I'll send it to you guys back at the desk.
Thanks, Samantha. Now, Andrew, before we continue, I got to ask you, what's your favorite fall activity that you do?
I love to go apple picking every once in a while.
Okay.
I haven't gone in a few years, I will admit, but whenever I go apple picking to the orchard, it's always a lot of fun. I mean, there's certain apples I can eat, I think Honeycrisp, or else the other ones, I'm kind of allergic to the rest of the other ones.
What do we think of apple cider?
Apple cider is pretty valid. I mean, but you also have to talk about the hedge mages when you go there as well, like the tractor rides, the hay rides.
Oh, it's all about the experience.
It's all about the experience, especially the fall experience.
Oh, absolutely. Just the leaves.
Absolutely.
It's just amazing. Last week, Hurricane Helene was in full force as it hit the southeast coast.
With updates on the hurricane's aftermath and other news around the country, Q30's Jack Bergman has more. Jack?
Thank you, Andrew and Eli. For almost a week, Hurricane Helene has wreaked havoc over the East Coast. Helene made landfall on Thursday, September 26th in Florida's Big Bend area as a monstrous Category 4 hurricane and has killed over 161 people. As the hurricane moved up the coast, Atlanta got more than 11 inches of rain, more than any 48-hour period in history. The storm's worst damage appears to have affected the Carolinas, where officials stated that more than 113 people have been found dead. Power was knocked out for several million homes throughout the East Coast. Prior to the damage of Hurricane Helene, a plane crashed in North Carolina. 5 people were killed after a single-engine plane crashed in the woods right outside the Wright Brothers National Memorial's First Flight Airport. According to a press release from the National Park Service, the crash occurred on Saturday at approximately 5 p.m. The plane was trying to land at the airport when it crashed into a wooded area and caught fire. The National Transportation Safety Board is investigating the cause of the crash. Wright Brothers is closed Sunday as the investigation continues. Closings have been affecting the entire southeast area, as on Monday, authorities ended a shelter-in-place order for over 90,000 people east of Atlanta following a weekend chemical plant fire. This fire also led to the evacuation of over 17,000 people and several key road closures, including I-20, on Sunday afternoon. The fire sent a plume of dark smoke polluting the beautiful Georgia sky. This smoke was a combination of chlorine, chloramine, and bromine. According to the CDC, post-exposure side effects should be minimal unless a person was within the direct plume release. That's it for national news this week. Back to Andrew and Eli at the desk.
Thanks, Jack. A New Haven resident was recently diagnosed with a rare case of a tick-borne illness. On Monday, it was confirmed that the first locally transmitted case of Rickettsia parkeri rickettsioses, the illness which is transmitted by the Gulf Coast tick, is similar to Rocky Mountain spotted fever, but the symptoms tend to be milder.
Symptoms include a dark scab at the site of the tick bite, fever, headache, rash, and muscle aches. These symptoms typically appear within a few days to a week after being bitten. If you experience any of these symptoms after a tick bite, it's important to seek medical attention immediately. The illness can be diagnosed with a blood test and is treatable with antibiotics.
The Middle East is still at war, and the Ukraine and Russian war is still in full effect.
Ashley Potvin is here in studio to break down the latest updates in international news. Ashley?
Thanks, guys. Let's take a look at what's been happening around the world. Starting off in the Middle East, Lebanon's political party and militant group Hezbollah confirmed on Saturday that one of its founding members was killed in an Israeli airstrike last Friday. Hassan Nasrallah was linked to numerous deadly attacks on Israeli and Jewish targets and has been on their radar for decades. The Israeli military carried out an airstrike on Friday while Hezbollah leaders were meeting at their headquarters. Following the attack, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called the situation, quote, an essential condition to achieving the goals we set, end quote. Along with Nasrallah, the Lebanese health ministry confirmed 6 other people were killed and 91 were injured. Staying in Asia, it has been nearly 1 year since the Hamas and Palestinian militant group launched an armed incursion on Israel on October 7th, thus beginning the war between the two regions. The war is still in full force as just yesterday, longtime ally of Hamas, Iran, launched a direct missile attack on Israel. This comes 6 months after Iran's last attack on Israel. President Joe Biden has since strengthened the U.S. military's presence in the region in hopes of deterring Iran and protecting Israel. But it is still unclear whether America's Arab allies will help defend Israel from attacks. As of now, over 40,000 people have been killed in Gaza. Finally, moving over to Eastern Europe, a Russian attack on a hospital in northeastern Ukraine this past Saturday has left 10 dead and at least 22 injured. According to Danielle Bell, the head of the United Nations Human Rights Monitoring Mission in Ukraine, loitering munitions hit a clinical hospital twice within just 45 minutes. This strike happened just a week after the attack on the geriatric center in the Ukrainian city of Sumy, which left at least 1 civilian dead and 13 injured. Attacks on this region have become more frequent since Ukrainian forces captured dozens of settlements and launched an operation in Russia's Kursk region last August. The war between Ukraine and Russia is now entering its 32nd month. That's all I have for international news this week. Andrew, Eli, back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Ashley. There's still more coming up on the Q30 Newscast. Is coming up a new system to get tickets to your favorite Quinnipiac Bobcat teams.
Also, Zach Naffa is in studio to preview the return of ice hockey in Hamden. We'll be back in 90 seconds.
Have you ever helped a fellow veteran?
Of course.
Yes. Have you ever asked for help yourself?
It's always tough, right? I always feel like I can solve my own problems, but eventually, you just can't deal with it on your own.
And you start to question, maybe people would be better off without me. When you realize that you're not alone, once you take that first step, there's so much support.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable. The sad reality is, fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kitchen now.
Meet the scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you.
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Welcome back. With the return of sporting events on campus means that ticket redeeming is back. Starting this year, Quinnipiac has switched ticketing clients, moving from Glitnir ticketing to Pasolian. The site has a simple interface that allows easier integration with students' self-service login information. The change comes after students and fans alike have expressed their concern and displeasure of purchasing ticket events such as the men's ice hockey games or Wake the Giant through the previous client. Which, Eli, brings me to the question is, have you bought your tickets for this weekend? Opening weekend, although it's exhibition, for the Northeastern game.
Oh, Andrew, I got my tickets, and it was as easy as it could be. Last year, BC hockey game, nope, didn't get a ticket. Website crashed. Wake the Giant, nope, didn't get a ticket.
Yeah,
so I'm really happy with it.
Those BC tickets, they sold out in like 5 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Luckily, I got one, though.
Oh, well, I'm glad you got one, because I didn't.
I know, I feel bad, Eli. But also, the Penn State game is going to be a hot ticket as well.
Oh, I know.
Technically, is opening weekend is also Penn State, and we know Penn State's, it's just a massive school.
It's going to be a big matchup.
It's almost going to be as big as BC was last year, although there's no banner to raise this time. But, we talk about, obviously we're just talking about winter sports, but fall sports are underway and winter sports are ramping up as well.
Andrew, it makes me smile as we talk about all this sports stuff, but Zach Naffa is live in the studio with an update on Quinnipiac sports.
Thanks, guys. Starting off on the court, the volleyball team kicked off conference play, going 1-1 on the weekend against the Rider University Bronx on Saturday and the St. Peter's University Peacocks on Sunday. The Bobcats defeated the Bronx in 4 sets, with graduate student Elena Giacomini recording her 6th double-double with 19 kills and 11 digs on the day. The Bobcats would then fall to the Peacocks in 5 sets the following day. Quinnipiac won the first set, but would drop the next 2. They would then win the 4th to force a 5th set, and Quinnipiac rallied and tied that at 14, but the Peacocks would go on a 3-1 run to close the match out. Quinnipiac also hosted Merrimack earlier this evening and won in straight sets. The Bobcats will travel to Fairfield this Saturday for an in-state matchup. Moving over to the ice, the Quinnipiac women's hockey team kicked off their season in a dominant fashion in Orono. The Bobcats took down the University of Maine Black Bears on Friday, shutting them out 7-0. Forward Maya Labad led the charge with 2 goals and 1 assist on the game, and forward Bryn Peer and defenseman Michaela Watson also contributed, scoring their first career collegiate goals in Friday's win. The Bobcats kept the momentum going on Saturday, winning in another shutout 4-0. Forward Kaylin LaMarche assisted on 3 of the 4 goals, and Maddie Samaskevich picked up 2 points as well, with 1 goal and 1 assist. Goalie Kaylee Doyle recorded 44 saves on the weekend overall. The Bobcats will travel to Boston this weekend to take on Northeastern University. On the pitch, the Quinnipiac men's soccer team wrapped up non-conference play in record-breaking fashion on Tuesday. The Division III Farmingdale State College Rams traveled to Hamden after last Thursday's game against FDU was postponed. The Bobcats started off strong, scoring 4 goals in the first 17 minutes alone. They would add 5 more in the second half to set a new program Division I record with 9 goals in a single game from 7 different Bobcats. The previous record was 7 goals, which was set on September 21st, 2022 against Stonehill College. Quinnipiac will look to keep the momentum going on Saturday at Sacred Heart University for their first conference game of the season. That's all I have this week for sports. Eli and Andrew, back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Zach. Now, Andrew, I just want to recap the volleyball game today. Yeah. I know Zach Naffa mentioned it, but that game for the volleyball team, to go into that game and beat Merrimack in 3 sets, especially knowing that on Sunday they lost to St. Peter's, who going into the year was ranked as the number 12 team in the MAC. And Andrew, do you know how many volleyball teams are in the MAC?
There is now, I think there's 13 now.
No, there's actually 12. So St. Peter's was in dead last in that preseason poll, and Quinnipiac lost to them. So very big rebound for this team. But I know the women's soccer team was also playing today, so how did they do?
They ended up winning 1-0 as well against Rider tonight. Rider almost tied it up with 1 second left, but luckily Courtney Choko with a big save at the end of the game to give the Bobcats another MAC win. They've won consecutive, this is going on to like 3 years now. They've won consecutive MAC games.
Yeah,
so this is big for this team.
This Bobcats women's soccer team.
They're looking for a three-peat of the
MAC.
MAC.
They're looking for the three-peat.
They might pull it off.
And honestly, I would say they could.
They could, but who's not going to be getting a three-peat this year is the men's ice hockey team. But I think they're going to go. I think they're going to make it. They didn't win last year, but they're going to make it. They're going to pull it off this year.
I don't know if they're going to win, but I could see them going to the Frozen Four.
I think they will. I think they'll make it to St. Louis. They're going to run into a hot team like BU,
probably
or Boston College,
or
probably
teams.
Denver.
It's all those Massachusetts teams.
It's always, I'm from Mass.
Yeah,
of course, I'm a little biased.
Yeah.
I was a big Boston College guy growing up, so you got to give it to the Eagles. Although they lost a lot of their talent this year.
Yeah, I mean, they are pretty good, but, I mean, Ryan Leonard's returning for BC.
But, of course, this is not a sports show. This is a news show. But we're going to have to wrap it up for the sports talk here. But that's all we have for this week's edition of the Q30 Newscast. Stay up to date with news around campus. Be sure to follow us on X and at Q30 News on Twitter.
For Andrew Reynolds, I'm Eli Ehlers. Have a good rest of your Wednesday night.